Good evening, everyone. So, just one person has joined. So, let's see in another 1 or 2 minutes how many of you are joining. Okay. So, based on that, I'll start the session.
Okay.
Subhasri, I'm just seeing one person has joined the session. So, what should be done? Can you suggest? Subhasri, you were there? So let me connect with her offline. I'll get back, Prashant. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I have one more person, Minu also joined. So let me start the session. Okay. So we will actually go with this ideology. Like even though there is one person, also the session will be conducted. Okay. So there should not be any discontinuity from our end, and let the participant decide. Okay. Let them take a call. Okay, so Prashant, Minu, so yesterday what all thing we have gone through? Till now, actually, what all thing we have gone through? Can any one of you answer me? Any idea, Minu? Can you tell me what all
Mm.
thing we have covered? Yes, Prashant, I'll come to you. So, Minu, whichever
Uh,
class you have attended so far, just let me on basis of that. Just can you give me your idea,
yeah,
like what all thing have been covered?
yeah, we have covered how to create a REST web service. In that, we have covered put method, post method, get method, delete method. So this thing we have covered. Patch method.
Yes. Yes, we have covered these methods. And Prashant, anything else you want to add to Minu?
Yes, we covered the exception handling also inside that API.
Yes,
So in that
correct.
we learned that global exception handling.
Yes, correct. And
Uh,
also apart from this, we yesterday we also have gone through like how to validate, right? Using the
yes.
Jakarta validation, how to validate.
Yes.
So the code I am planning to send it to
Actually, ma'am, actually, yesterday I disconnected at 8:30. So after that, I'm not able to see the recording also.
Okay, okay, got it. So yeah, so you can go through go through the recording, okay, where I was teaching like towards the end. I also taught that how to validate, okay. So just okay, just a recap I'm trying to make, okay. So a
Okay.
slight recap I'm just giving, like how to validate. So what happens that like sometimes uh, we have also seen like as a user we try to put some kind of like malicious data, means some junk data. Sometimes users send me this data like in the name we will just send an arrow, send an empty space. Okay, birthday, maybe some future date like this. So if I'm trying to create this user, previously what was happening, your error, your system was, the REST service, this post service was able to keep that data. It was able to create the data and it was able to save it in the database. As present, our database is the array list, so it was saving in the array list. But this is a meaningless data, right? It should not have been saved. We should, means our service should not accept this kind of data, isn't it? Previously I was able to like get this. It was creating one more ID. Okay, it was creating one more ID and the name, whatever the empty name, with this empty name only the user was getting created, and birthday with the future date like this was getting created. Okay. Is it possible somebody in 2026 somebody will create a birthday in 2085? It's future. It is not possible. This kind of data we should not accept. So that's why I put the validation. So for validation, what I did in the form.xml, I added step one. This is what I did. I added this dependency. Okay. Spring Boot starter validation. Just this much only we need to do. Step one, we need to do this much. Step two, what we need to do? We need our user object to be validated, right? Our user field. We should put the constraint on the user field. Means in the name field, I should put the constraint, right? I should put the constraint in the name field. So that's why what I did, I put the constraint size at the rate size, means the name, the field, the bean, means in your bean, in whichever field you want to keep the validation, just to put the annotation, required annotation. In Jakarta validation, if you will see the Jakarta validation, right? In this validation, you can see all these. If you go to size, see, this is from your Jakarta validation constraints. All this in this size constraint, you can see it has mean, it has max character, how many. When suppose if you want your minimum character of your name should be like, it should be minimum 3 character. Any name we know that it should be of minimum 3 character. And if you are not getting 3 character name, it should give the error that your means name should be of message name should be minimum 3 character like that. Okay, it should not be, it should be always not null. Okay, so this kind of validation I have put here. Not null also don't, no, not needed. Size minimum 3. Okay, now past here, birthday cannot be future date. So this is one at the rate past. This is one constraint I have put, which is also from this Jakarta validation dot constraint. So whatever means, what you need to do, your in the bean you should put the required constraint from the Jakarta validation. You can go through the document also, like in Jakarta validation what all constraints you can see here, if you go to this constraint, you can see mean, max, negative or zero. You can put this kind of not null, null, like this. There are a lot of patterns also you can put. Suppose if you want only in the name, it should be started with A and it should be end with some E, something like that. You can put that kind of pattern also, like some validation also you can put positive or zero, like this. Okay. So there are many validations. See, it should be always digit. So you can put there that it should be always digit and it should be integer or it should be fraction. So these kind of validation you can put as per your business requirement. Okay. So that Spring will do automatically, means it will take care. And after this putting this validation in the third step, what you are supposed to do in the here only post mapping is to create the data, isn't it? Your post mapping and your put mapping, these two methods are to create the data. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
So just you in that method, what you will do in the request body, post mapping and put mapping, they are supposed to create the data. Okay. So what you are supposed to do, you should in the request body, you should put the validation here. Means this user should be valid at the rate valid, and this valid is coming from where? This valid is coming from your Jakarta validation. Okay, this annotation is coming from Jakarta. So just the request body which supposed to create the data in your database, that you should annotate as at the rate valid. Then Spring can take care of the rest of the thing. You need to just do that much. Okay. So then here you see here what happened. Then after to that, one more thing you are supposed to do. Last thing, the global exception handler. Okay, handle method argument not valid. Okay, this method handle argument method not valid. This one actually what how I got to know this method I need to override here. See the superclass is response entity exception handler, right? Here, always your global exception handler, it should extend the response entity exception handler. We know you were saying something.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So always your global exception handler, it should extend response entity handler. I was not having this method. Okay. So how I got to know this one I need to override? What I did, the response entity handler, I just put a debug breakpoint here and I ran it in the debug mode. Then what I found that here inside this method argument not valid, this method was getting called. So I just copied it and pasted it over here. Okay, then inside that means I did not use the logic what Spring has provided. I used my custom logic. Where I am doing what? I'm just creating a error bin and see if my method is protected method, so my global exception handler, this superclass will be called first. Okay, Spring will call the superclass first and it will call the superclass method. If this method is not there, then only it will go to this default one, which is present in the sorry in the subclass. It will see first, and then it will go to the superclass here. So now my logic, this one is logic working. See here, this error bin I have created, right? So in the error bin, error message, error detail, time, all these things are coming, and validation failed for the argument. This one, birthday cannot be future date, and also it is saying, just let me take copy this one error message and let me put it here. See here, let me just increase the font. The font size I'm increasing to from around 16. See here, one message you are able to see, right? The name should be minimum 3 character. So from where it is coming? It is coming from here. Here I have put this message, right? If minimum 3 character validation is failed, then this message should come. So it is coming from here. Here see, size annotation has a method message and mean. So I'm passing in the mean, I'm passing 3 and message I'm passing this. So this is the this validation took place and it provided me this error. And similarly in the birthday you see birthday cannot be future date. So this message has come from where? Again it has come from here. Okay, it means Spring has made actually the developer, Spring Boot has made the developer life very easy. You don't need to write like 100 lines of code to validate. In our past time, like when we started our development that time, it was like Spring or some other Strut framework, some XYZ framework. Strut, mainly it was Strut framework we were using that time. And then after to that Spring came up. So that time actually we were writing lot of validations logic. But Spring now it since I mean since like the Spring Boot has come, the life has become very easy. You don't need to write too many of code. But with AI, it has become more easier. But the thing is that you should know the syntax. Well, see, as I told yesterday also, like if you are learning some technology, it is just to like how to utilize the AI. Okay, if you don't know like what all thing to be done, how to be done, if you don't know, then you cannot make AI to work. Okay, so that's why you should learn the technology. The deeper you are knowing, that is much better for you to interact with AI and get your work done. Okay, so people whoever has like that misconcept that okay now I don't need to write code, this is not a correct concept. Definitely, AI is going to help you, but how to take the help? It is your means responsibility. You should know that how I should get my work done through AI. Okay, so that is why you should definitely learn the technology. You should get the proper expertise, and then you can make the AI just like a worker. You can make it work. Okay. So this is how means AI has sorry Spring Boot has made our life easy. Okay, with minimal code we can get the validation and we
Hello.
can stop the REST service to take some this kind of like invalid data and unnecessary to make our load base to make our database loaded with some junk data. We can stop doing that. Okay, we can restrict our REST API from all these invalid data.
Hello.
So this is, yeah, Prashant.
Hello,
Prashant.
ma'am. That overridden method that we override inside that global exception handler, that is compulsory if we are validating the data, right? That method we override.
Override, yes. See, if you will not override, then also Spring is suppose I will just put my validation over here, right? I'll just put my validation over here. That's all. If I'll just stop doing that, then I will get the message. All these things I'll definitely get, but I will get it from the Spring framework. Okay. If you will go
Mhm.
through this global exception handler, which is extending your response entity handler and handle method here, handle method argument not valid. Here it has custom logic, it has its own logic, default logic, right? So
Mhm.
some it will do it will do on its own way, okay, which we don't want. We want our means message to response to be very much structured, okay, so that means there is always a contact between a client and your server, okay, your means the consumer of your REST API and the service of the REST API. They have a proper means structured communication format. So the more detail we are giving, right, in more structured format, that is much better. So instead of like, in real time, we don't depend on this response entity exception handler default way of like, handling the thing. Okay.
Mhm.
Definitely
Okay.
it will also send error or since we have placed this validation, right? We have placed this one. This is important. See, first of all, the very important thing that you need to import the dependency.
Starter validation.
Jakarta Boot starter validation. This you need to
Okay,
import
okay.
in form.xml.
So if
Second thing is you need to place all these constraints. Whatever you need as per your business requirement, you need to place it. This is
Okay.
important. Okay. How you can know what all dependency you can use? Just click on constraint. See, like these are the different constraints you have. So you put it on your bean field. The in the user bean or whichever bean you have in the bean, the instance variable, whatever required business as per your business requirement, put the validation. Then after to that, the third step is the REST controller which is supposed to create the controller, the REST API, virtual REST API, which is supposed to create the data. Generally, it is post mapping, put mapping, and also your patch mapping also. All these are actually going to create the data for you. So there you need to put the @valid annotation again, which is from Jakarta. So just three things you do. Then even if in the global exception handler, you don't do anything. You just don't. If you are not overriding this superclass method, then also the superclass method will means in the subclass, if you are not overriding the superclass method, then also superclass method will get executed and you will get bad request, some error message, something you will get here. Okay.
The default implementation inside
Yes,
that
default
superclass, right?
implementation. Exactly. Default
Okay.
implementation.
So with the valid I mean that value inside that with the response body, it will automatically call that superclass method, right? For that validation.
Yes. Will automatically Spring will check that. Okay, in the bean, what all validations are there. At the rate valid means automatically this method will get called, and what all validations are there, that will all like together work. Okay, Spring will pick all those annotation, correct? Means whichever field you have marked as the required with the required annotation, Spring will execute its logic as per that, and it will give you some error. But we don't want that default execution. We want our execution. That's why the one which I put here, right? This kind of format I wanted to see. I wanted to see the data in this format. That's why I put like this. Got it?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so this is about your validation. So till now, we are done with REST API. Then we are done with the exception handling of REST API. We are done with the validation of the, it means your REST API data. Okay. Now, the few more important thing today we are going to cover, and I will try to cover as soon as possible. I may need to wrap it with quicker actually for time. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so okay, so there are some advanced REST API feature I wanted to discuss with you all. Okay, which is like the first thing is documentation. Okay, the first thing is documentation, content negotiation, internationalization, versioning, then HTOS, static filtering, dynamic filtering, monitoring. You can take a snapshot of this advanced REST API feature we are going to discuss. I need just one or in today's session means I can cover documentation, content negotiation, internationalization, I may and versioning, HTOS is all these three things I can cover in your Monday session, and then static filtering, dynamic filtering, monitoring, all those monitoring. Someone was asking me logging will be covered or not. So someone was asking over chat actually. So yes, monitoring also like part of this. So all these things will be covered like next week. So today I am going to cover documentation and content negotiation. First of all, see why actually documentation is important. See the your REST API you are not going to use, means you are the developer or you are the service provider. You are actually doing the you are just means designing your REST API for some means um, for the second party, like the consumer will use it. Okay, you are not the one who is going to use it. You have just, means you don't know even your consumer. Who is going to be your consumer, you don't know. Suppose I have created a very nice API which do some conversion, okay? Like some currency conversion it is doing or something like that. Okay. Now, this currency converter API or some calculation service I am doing, some same API I am using. So, today I may have like one consumer, tomorrow I may have two consumer, and after suppose my API has become very popular, and after some 1 month I may have some 1,000 consumers. Okay, so mm, how, means is it possible for you to train all those 1,000 consumers that saying that, like, see, this is my REST API, the resources are like this, or these are the actions which I am supporting, or these are the request response structure which like has this request response structure, means this kind of validation I have put. Is it possible for you to train? Not possible, right? You cannot do like this. You, as a service provider, you will just create your REST API as per the market requirement or as per your business requirement. You have just created the API, you have identified the resources. For example, I am using Facebook application. I am having Facebook service, okay, where or some social network service I am having, where I am having like users, where I am having the, means I am giving facility to the user to uh, post some of their ideas, or post to upload the post, like that I'm giving some kind of facility to the users. Okay, so here my resources are user and my resources are their post. Okay, and on these resources what all action I am doing, I am giving like post action, post, get, put, patch, everything I am giving. And for every action all the request response structure also I am having. And in my, as per my business enterprise application, I am having 100 of such REST API. Okay, so and I am having also my social network application is very popular. My service means there are like number of mobile application they want to use my service. Okay, I cannot train as a service provider. I cannot train them. I am having number of iOS user, I am having desktop user, I am having web application user, so many users, so many consumers I am having. Consumer app I am having, but I cannot train all of them about my resource, about my action, about my request response structure along with their constraint or validation. I cannot do that as a service provider. Apart from this, it is also impossible for the developer to maintain the accuracy. What accuracy means? What? See, today your API is some request it is able to take. Tomorrow means you may have realized that, okay, my request to be, and suppose today in the user bin I am having name and birthday, but tomorrow I realize that no, there are some more field also I should add, so I will add some more field. So my request user is nothing but your request, right? This user is your request here. This is the request. So the more field I am adding here, definitely your request structure is changing, isn't it? So if something is getting changed at your end, your service end, you should also maintain the accuracy. Like the consumer also should be aware of that. Okay, what has been changed? So that accuracy also you are supposed to maintain as a service provider. So as a service provider, see, it is your means responsibility to educate the user that what are to educate the consumer that about the resources, about the action, about the request response structure. But if some change in structure, in any structure is happening, means again, as it is as a service provider, you are supposed to maintain the accuracy. Okay, and suppose tomorrow you have, apart from like enhancing the API, you have also added few more API. You have some uh, 30-40 API you have added. So how the consumer can get to know that how many API you have added? So you should also ensure the consistency. And for doing all this, what you are supposed to do, you should create some document, isn't it? If you are, suppose you have created some service and you are changing the service in time, suppose you are changing your service, means all the consumer, how they will get to know, how you will communicate, some kind of documentation you are supposed to provide them. But providing the documentation manual mode is not possible, because in today's time business is very much complicated. There are a lot of resources means the way like we have identified, user is a resource, your post is a resource, right? If you will think about some application, then email application again, user is also a resource. Then different kind of you have primary tab, you have updates, you have promotion, so different sections. So each section is a it is your resource, right? For each section you should have different kind of, means you have to identify what all resource I am having, what all action means all these kind of API like get, post, put, patch, all those. Okay, so for every resource there is a action, and for every action there is request and response. So you need to create the document for everything and you should provide it. In manual mode this is not possible. Okay, you need to put additional effort to keep it in sync with the code. Okay, this much of additional effort you cannot provide. So what you will do, you will generate from the code. How you will do that? My next slide is telling about that. See, we will use Open API. Okay, and what is this Open API? I'll not take you to this much of theory. Okay, because I'll just show you here what I have done. See, in the form.xml, let me stop it. In the form.xml, what you will do, you will just add this dependency. This dependency. What is this? Spring doc open API starter web MVC UI. This is the dependency you are supposed to add. If you will do it, if you remember initially how we created the project, can anybody answer to me? Initially, how we created the project?
Spring initializer.
Very good. Who answered this?
Me.
I could not see the name actually. Definitely it is Prashant or Shrikant. Is it Prashant?
Yes, yes.
Good, Prashant. Actually, you are up to date. So seems like you're putting some effort. Anyway, okay. So what we will do? The Spring initializer. If you will go to Spring slider. Okay. So here in the dependency section also you can search it. Open API. And Open AI. And API. Spring Docker. Open API. Either you search with Open API or you just search with Spring Doc. You will get this dependency. Okay. And we'll do a control explore, then this dependency you can see here. Here, this dependency. Okay, just add this dependency. Just add this dependency. That's all. You just need to do this much, and then you start your service. Rest of the magic Spring Boot will do. See here, all the documentation it will create for all your activity. See here, just see the server starting. One interesting fact I will show here. You can see something like Open API, Spring Doc, Swagger UI.html, right? So the documentation it is creating. Spring is creating the documentation for your API which you are providing to consumer. Spring is doing that. So what you will do, how you will access that documentation? So just http://localhost 8080 and swagger UI.html. You are getting you just need to give this doc URL means to the consumer. That's all. Consumer, all the consumer, they will whoever is going to consume your service, they will go through this documentation. They can go get to know what all controller you are having, like how your means services you are providing. See, your first user, your schema means this is your object. User is the object. They will get to know, okay, this is my resource, and on this resource, user resource, these are the action: get, put, post, get, delete, patch. Okay. So, and what is the path? They will get to know. No need to tell to them that this is how you should consume. So whenever any service you are going to invoke as a consumer, the only thing you should get from them is their documentation. Rest of the thing will you need to go through. You need to just go through and you need to find out what is the resource, what is the resource structure, and on that what all action I am having. Okay. And also if we go through this, just open in a new tab. Here, you can see that class v3 API docs. It is telling you all the detailed information. What is the server URL? Then here the schema, like see here for gets path is /user. What is the type? The method type is get. Okay. And there is no request here. Request body nothing. Of get all users. There is nothing here. Just the response for 200. This is the you are going to get an array of array. So from here only user put update the user. Then the what should be the request body here? It is definitely you should provide the required request body here. Okay. And required true. This is the request body. Means it is saying schema. Schema means which schema? User schema. How you will get to know user schema? User schema is present here. So this is how you need to understand. Okay, this is my for this put. This is the request body. This is the response body. And if at all you are not very much like comfortable in reading this, you can do what? You can also try out here. Like for example, get. Here what it is saying that this is the sample. Sample also it has provided. So for get, this is a sample. So what I will do, try it out. Okay, I'll just so in here in the request, the upper part is request, the below part is response. So in the upper part, nothing is there. So I'll just say execute. So if I will do execute, what I have got the response here. Okay. So it is also like your testing tool. The postman, how you are using, right? It is also testing tool. So the documentation is giving you all the information about the resource, the action, the request format, the response format, the header, everything. Like if you go here, everything, what all header it is going to accept, what all, how the request body to be or how the response body to be, everything. And also here you can test it out, giving a sample data there. Here you can provide sample data. For example, here post if I am going to try. See, it is saying that the request body. This is the example it is giving. Okay. So example and saying that if you this give this example in the response, you are going to get this kind of response. Example also it is giving. So what I will do, I'll just say try it out. And since I have taken the okay, this is this value request body is there, so just edit it. Just give something name. Okay, with the date birthday is 2016 and say execute. So here what we got, fail to read the request.
Name we not mention in double quotes.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am, I didn't understand actually. We used this data for testing. The four data like Prashant, Meenu, your name. So how it is coming here in documentation? We use this for testing purpose.
See this first what I did. This is what we did. This is our REST API. This project is
Yeah.
this is a sample project, right? This is a sample project. In this sample project, I need the documentation to create. My objective is to create the document. See, I have few API over here. Okay. And all of you, suppose Mino, De, Prashant, Srikant, all of you, you people are consumer of my service. You will demand me that, okay, we are going to consume your service, but first of all, we should know that how the service can be invoked. What should be the request type, request body, or what should be the response body? Means what all resource you are using. For example, your user resource I
That
am using.
that
So
that
these
I
kind of
understood, ma'am.
Mhm.
But
So
but I didn't understand the data what you were showing on that screen. Now the data it
yes,
was showing that you
it
told
is
that if you're not able
see
to
what
read that,
see what it
so
is
you
doing.
showed some data.
Yes, yes, it is actually hitting the API. When I'm clicking the execute, right? The way you are using Postman. Here in the Postman, I'm able to hit my
Okay.
API, right? Here I'm able to
Mhm.
hit my API. Here, get
Yes.
I'm able to hit my API. So the way the Postman tool is there, right? Similarly, it created a documentation along with this tool. This is a tool, web tool.
Okay.
It's
Okay. Okay.
the Postman is a desktop tool, right? So similar to
Mhm.
Postman, the API testing tool it created, and this is called Swagger. This is Swagger. Here it means the moment I imported that dependency, right? This dependency, if
Mhm.
you click this dependency has further, if you drill down, it has many other jars. See, lot of other jars are there. They are doing their magic. They are creating this documentation. This documentation, everything they created, and they have created one Swagger hyphen UI means kind of like they have created a one application. Okay, they have done what? They have just gone through my code. Means internally, what it is doing, the dependency got uh, the dependency means what? It is a jar file. Ultimately, a jar file is what? It is collection of some Java classes, right? So all these classes got loaded in my memory, and these classes they have gone through my Spring code. It has gone through my Spring code, so they know that this is my entry. They have searched for the Spring Boot application. This is the entry. And here, this is the main package. Under this, all my controller are there. So they have gone through all my controller. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have read, okay, this is how this is designed. This is get all user. So here we are getting that. Here in the documentation, if you search, you find get all users. So for this path slash users, for this slash path slash users, the request method is tag get, and operation ID is get all users. Then there is no request body here, but this is the response. So they found that, okay, user DAO service inside get all users, what is it is returning? User list. It is returning user list. That's why it's a array. So they know that what its type is. Its type is array. So that's why it has mentioned array, right? So those Java classes, they only means created one API, one application, Swagger UI application they created. Now this Swagger UI application is also running in my Tomcat, in my server, localhost 8080 port. Okay, here this Swagger UI is running. Swagger UI is a tool. This is a, that means it has created two things. It has created API document. This is your API doc. See? It has created API docs, one
Mm-hmm.
application with API doc, and also one web application also it created, that is your web version of your Postman. That is Swagger UI. That is called Swagger UI. From where it has also given you the knowledge, like, okay, what should be the request URL, what should be the response type, what should be the request body, what should be the header, everything. All those information it has given. API doc is just a documentation, and this is a tool with all complete the information. But your Postman is also not like that. Your Postman, you have to figure out, right? You should have the knowledge that how my API is working there. You should have the knowledge. I have the knowledge. That's why I just click send button without putting any request body. And that's all. Just on click, I got the response. But here in the Postman, everything you don't need to have any prior knowledge. You are just a consumer, right? Being a consumer, Postman is for what? Postman is for the developer to test. When you are designing, when you are coding API, when you are doing the coding for your API, whether your API is working fine or not, you are having the knowledge, like what should be my request body, what should be my response body, all this knowledge you are having. That's why you are using Postman tool. Your Postman tool is just a blank one. You need to create a new HTTP request. You need to provide the proper, method, proper path where your service is running, in which port it is running at, everything, like what should be the path, everything, what should be my header, what should be my body, all those information you are providing there. But this is a this documentation and this tool you are creating for whom? You are creating for some consumer who is not known to you, or the consumer has no idea about your service. Okay, just you have you got to know that there are some consumer in some corner of the world who are interested for your service. So what you will do, you will say that, boss, this is my URL, this is my documentation, and API documentation, go through it. So that time has gone where we were providing manually some document, some word document, some presentation, something we were giving. That time has gone. Now all these things, actually it is very handy. The documentation is very handy. Just a URL only we are going to give. In that URL, you have sufficient information about your API, about the request structure, response structure, API, what it digests, what it produce, everything it will you will give. Apart from that, also you are giving a tool which is called Swagger UI to test your API. They will test it. They will test it with sample data, and they will get your sample response, everything they will get. And once they are fine with your service, they will implement the required logic to consume the API. Okay, understood?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So this is how means Spring Boot has made your life easy. See, even suppose you tomorrow you have joined some project as backend engineer, and your project has already, like, it is means the version 1, version 2 released. So by that time already some hundred of API has been released to the outside. Okay, now you are a developer for the version 3 release. Okay, so and some API is to be enhanced by you. It was previously somebody else has done the coding, or some n number of person, 2-3% already have done the coding for version 1, version 2. Version 3, who will give you the knowledge? No one will give you the knowledge. Okay, your project leader will just give you the Swagger. He will tell that, okay, go through the Swagger UI, or go through the API documentation. That means what? You need to definitely your server is running somewhere, right? So in that server, you just need to access this URL, because this is the minimum requirement of every API project. Of all the service project, the minimum requirement is documentation. Okay, so they will definitely open API, they dependency definitely Spring Doc, open API dependency definitely it have must have been imported, and definitely this Swagger UI will be running in it must be running at the server port, whatever server port or server IP and port, it will be there. So you just need to ask about their API documentation URL or something like that, or server URL, and just access like this. So by seeing the API documentation, by seeing the Swagger UI, request response, everything, you can go get to know, okay, what how your API is, what it is taking, what is the resource it is taking, how the request body, how the response body. And suppose your project leader has asked you to enhance the functionality like this, then you have to analyze that, okay, is it my resource where I need to add the field, if I need to put some constraint there, or if I means you can get to know. First of all, the minimum your minimum starting point is that you should know how the functionality is working, and this API document is going to this API documentation is going to help you with that. Okay, so the way it is going to help the future developer, similarly the consumer, the future consumer, present consumer, or all potential consumer, they will just go through the API documentation. There is no, like, face to face communication between the service and consumer. There is no face to face talk that, okay, this is my service, or this is how you need to consume. There is no conversation. There is the conversation only happens, means the communication only happens through this API, through this URL. That's all. Okay, the service team will just hand over this URL to the consumer team. Consumer team will go through everything, and they will just incorporate whatever they need as per their requirement. That's all. Okay, so only 5 minutes left. I think this is clear to all of you, right?
Yes,
Next,
yes.
Yes,
very
ma'am.
one more simple concept I am going to tell you. That is your uh, I think in 5 minutes, it's a very simple thing only. Open API, Spring Dog Open API dependency I have informed. Now content negotiation. Okay, content negotiation means what? Some of your application, some of your consumer application, they may need the means, though your service is providing in JSON format, here my service is providing me the data in which format? Here if I will click this get, it is going to give me the data in JSON format. But sometime your consumer may need your application in XML format, okay? Because the communication, the data exchange format between the consumer and the services can be XML, it can be JSON. So now my service is providing in JSON format. Okay, the content type is JSON. But if they need XML format, then what you will do? Do you need to change the code? So that also we will figure out now in Spring. Okay. So content type. Okay, content negotiation means your consumer will negotiate with you that boss, I need my data in XML format. So as a service, it is your responsibility to provide the data in XML format. So this is a very simple thing actually in Spring Boot which you can achieve like this. So what you will do, just in the postman, okay, sorry, just in the pom.xml, pom.xml, what you will do, just this dependency you need to add. That's all. Okay, com.faster xml. Till now it is means Jackson was doing what? Jackson JSON. Com.faster JSON was there. Means by default Spring is doing everything in JSON format. But to change our data in XML format, you need to just add this dependency. That's all. And then start the server. That's all. Nothing you need to do. How you can get to know this also? You can get to know from Spring Initializer what dependency. Okay. So if you will do what? Suppose if I will go to Spring Initializer in the dependency here, XML, if I will type Jackson, Jackson, just remember some Jackson. Very slow. XML is not giving Jackson. That's fine earlier. Cannot scroll like this. Not possible. Data format. Format. Section. Anyway, just remember this one. I actually look into documentation. Here also it should definitely it should have been present. Okay, I'll go through the document and will let you know what should be the keyword to search here. But I found it in the documentation. This is the dependency which you should add. I will just chat it over chat. Take a copy of it. Okay, this is the dependency you need to add, and then after to that, what you are going to do, go to your postman. Okay, here in the header part, okay, just add a key here, accept. This one I want. Just add a key here, key value edit, accept. Add a key, accept, and the value is application/xml, and then click send. See, this is giving in just XML format. The data it is giving in XML format. Okay. Is how actually means Spring handles means content negotiation. It's so easier with Spring. Okay. So what you need to do, just add the data Jackson data format dependency. and in the client just need to do what? The client just will tell that I am accepting, accept, instead of accept application slash JSON or slash dot slash, the way it is here, right? Here it is like this. You don't need to send like this. You need to send like this. Accept application slash XML. Then you will get it in the XML format like this. Okay, same data you will get it in XML format here also. Put it in the XML format, it will give you in the XML format. So this is how actually content negotiation is done for the format. Okay. Next session we will discuss that how we can get the data, the content in different language. Like suppose if you want means, if you want your data, you are providing some information, right? Suppose you are providing the Apple website, Apple, if you will go to the Apple website, right? It has in the website, it has the specification for its different product, iPhone, iPad, then the Mac desktop, all for this product, different kind of specification it is there. You can see if you go to Germany, okay, you can see the same specification information in German language. If you go to France, it will be in French language. If you go to Spain, then Spanish language. Okay, if you go to Japan, then Apple website will display its information in Japanese language. Similarly, in China, Chinese language, like this. How the same Apple means? Is it like Apple website, the REST service, whatever? There must be some service, right? The front end will be like HTML, React.js, something. The front end, there is there must be some front end layer, and the front end layer, your front end layer is accessing your backend service. Some REST services it must be accessing, where iPhone, for iPhone is a resource, iPad is a resource. Okay, for iPhone, the specification for iPhone specification, definitely put mapping, patch mapping, all those REST API must have been designed, isn't it? So the development must have been done in one, means one, there should be definitely one approach, but your code should work in such a way that when you are sending it, when this website is running in France, it should display your message in French. Okay. When it is when you want to run it in China, then it should display your message in Chinese, like that. So this is called as internationalization. How we can enhance our, how we can enable our REST API to work in internationalization mode. That is what we are going to learn in our next class. Okay. So how different language we can accept as header, and we should publish the information as per their client requirement in different language. So internationalization is also like your content negotiation. The content negotiation means as per the client requirement. We will do that. So next class that we will going to discuss, and I will show you. Okay. So for today, that's all. Okay. Just I'll share the code with you. I'll take some time, like in another 1 or 2 hours, I'll send you the code. So spend some time during your weekend to go through like what all things have been done, so that next session you will feel like to attend and you will find interest. Okay. Okay. Bye,
Yes.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.